Hey y'all, it's Brody, and today we're going to talk about something that you probably all very well know about. And this is the Patrick Bateman Sigma male memes. Now these were everywhere last year, and well, you couldn't really go anywhere without seeing Christian Bale accompanied by some sometimes funny, sometimes cringy captions. And if you were unfamiliar, this film is American Psycho, released in 2000, directed by Mary Harron, and starring Christian Bale as the iconic Patrick Bateman. So, American Psycho follows the aforementioned Patrick Bateman, a Wall Street banker moonlighting as a depraved, narcissistic psychopath. When the movie came out in 2000, it did to mostly poor reviews, with a small cult following, but as recently as 2021, it has been getting a lot of attention. I think that this reevaluation is well-deserved for sure. I cite American Psycho to be an amazing horror movie. Benefits heavily from the incredible performances put on from the cast, which, while looking back, is a pretty awesome group of actors, apart from Jared Leto. Nowadays, it's pretty common to hear people say that it's their personal favorite horror movie, and that is very much so thanks to that reevaluation. However, this did sort of come with a downside. I've noticed a lot of people on the internet idolize Patrick Bateman. They bring up this whole Sigma male archetype, and it's just dumb and very cringy. The whole point of Patrick Bateman is to not be able to sympathize or relate to this character. The most you're meant to feel is just pity for how sad of a person he is. Yes, he's intriguing, with the story being told from his perspective and his creeping insanity, and it just leaves the viewer guessing on what's real and what he imagined. I could talk about it forever, but we don't have all day, so let's stop beating around the bush and let's talk about it. The movie begins with Bateman at a very fancy restaurant, but apparently not quite fancy enough. His co-workers, and basically his only friends, if you could call them that, rag on him for not being able to get them a table at Dorcia's.
Why aren't we at Dorcia? Because Bateman won't give the maitre d' head.
His buddies are Timothy Bryce, played by Justin Theroux, who I found out voiced Megamind's father, which is hilarious to me. Craig McDermott, played by Josh Lucas, who I know from The Forever Purge and the absolutely abysmal Black Demon. And lastly, David Van Patten, played by Bill Sage, who is in that very strange Wrong Turn remake recently. Now, all of Bateman's friends really suck, being anti-Semitic towards another co-worker named Paul Allen. More on him later. Surprisingly, Bateman tells them off for it.
Jesus, McDermott, what does that have to do with anything? Not a menorah. You spin a dreidel. No, just cool it with the anti-Semitic remark.
He then immediately squashes all thoughts about him being a decent guy by threatening the bartender at his local favorite bar after his card is invalid payment.
You're a fucking ugly bitch. I want to stab you to death, then play around with your blood.
Now, there are two ideas that come to mind here after this scene. I do believe that the Batemeister is a pretty prejudiced guy. However, as we will see later, he treats some people differently than others based mostly on their station in life. He defends Alan, which, as he does respect him and sees him as a person due to his high station in what Bateman believes is king, being a straight, rich, white guy working in a high position at a big company in New York. However, when his ego gets bruised by his invalid payment at the face of a female bartender, he loses his composure and immediately lashes out at her, seeing her as beneath him, less than a person. It's terrible for sure, and of course what he says to her is no better, but curiously, she doesn't even react to this or acknowledge that he said something at all, let alone something heinous. She just continues working like nothing happened. Now, this could be four things. 1, she didn't hear him. 2, she's just trying to ignore it for safety reasons, which is completely fair. 3, he didn't really say that out loud, but rather in his head. And my personal favorite, 4, that he is so insignificant and unremarkable that she just straight up ignores him and doesn't care. It's more likely that he didn't really say that, but I think I like the idea of her just straight up ignoring him, because she doesn't care. This does happen many times throughout the film, though. One time, when he is talking to a model he just met, he says this.
What do you do?
I'm into, murders and executions mostly.
This instance in particular is funny because it's likely that she thought he said mergers and acquisitions, which is his actual job.
You think I'm dumb, you think all models are dumb.
Oh, I really don't.
That's okay. I don't mind. There's something sweet about you.
Another example of this is another moment when he's on his little date with Paul Allen.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
In that scene, Allen is so drunk that he doesn't even bat an eye. All of these instances do make one wonder whether he only imagined he said those things. It's never clarified why they don't react. However, the opening sequence, while simple, does show how superficial and unstable Patrick Bateman is. This is further shown with his berating and killing of a homeless man in an alley.
Why don't you get a job? If you're so hungry, why don't you get a job?
And his killing of prostitutes and models throughout the film. He doesn't respect them or see them as people due to their jobs or lack thereof. However, when he gets the chance to kill his secretary Jean, who he seduced into his home, he doesn't kill her. He hesitates and tells her that she should leave for her own safety.
I think if you stay, something bad will happen. I think I might hurt you. I don't think I can control myself.
He sees her as more of a person, with her high station in what he considers a real job. His superficiality is shown quite a lot throughout the movie, like the iconic scene where he's explaining his morning routine and then suddenly drops it and talks about what's beneath his appearance.
There is an idea of a Patrick Bateman, some kind of abstraction, but there is no real me, only an entity. I simply am not there.
This scene is incredible, and it serves its purpose in showing how this character is inhuman. There are no emotions, no feelings or remorse, just nothing. I do think a lot of people forget that when romanticizing this character. There is no person there, it's all just an exterior. There's no personality to relate to, and only what he chooses to show. This scene also brings the idea that, while the movie is called American Psycho, Bateman also displays sociopathic tendencies, which, according to WebMD, includes lack of empathy for others, impulsive behavior, using intelligence, charm, and charisma to manipulate others, and lots more. American Psycho? More like American Socio. Get it? Alright, I'll stop. In all serious though, it is clear that Patrick Bateman is a psychopath with sociopathic tendencies. Mary Harron intended for Bateman's character in the first place to make fun of corporate greed and callousness towards others. He is a symbol of misogyny and prejudice, meaning to be laughed at rather than laughed with. He's not popular and is a huge weirdo that no one would logically associate with. As Christian Bale said himself,
Bateman is not a... I could never really view him just as a villain, pure and simple, because he's so ridiculous, you know. He's not your ordinary kind of Hannibal Lecter kind of scary villain, because you laugh at him, you know, never with him at all. So I was never really concerned.
I also want to talk about this whole alpha male, or more popularly, sigma male stigma around Patrick Bateman. While a lot of guys took it upon themselves to classify the character as a sigma male icon, let me define sigma male as defined on the internet. From dictionary.com, a sigma male is a slang term used in masculinist subcultures for a popular, successful, but highly independent and self-reliant man. Another term for sigma male is a lone wolf. If you think this is accurate, it is not. I'll debunk this with one clip.
Because I want to fit in.
And there you have it. The reason he does what he does throughout most of this movie. Most of the time he kills people that are close to him, or attempts to at least, and his motivation for all the working out and creating this appearance is to fit in. Last time I checked, Sigmas, by definition, don't try to fit in. Yes, he is buff and very attractive, but he doesn't do it for him. He does it to be significant to those around him, to fit in. Even in his interactions with others, you could see his jealousy and fragile ego, clearly caring about what others think of him. Needless to say, lone wolves don't really do that. Throughout the film, he is constantly ignored and mistaken for other people, and this, of course, bothers him, with his fragile ego and all. The whole point of this constantly being mistaken thing is to show how little of an impact Bateman even has, being so insignificant that hardly anyone notices or cares about him at all. The main perpetrator of this Patrick Bateman humiliation is Paul Allen, the legendary Jared Morbentime Leto himself, of such incredible roles such as the more $1 billion grossing Morbius.
It's Morbin time.
As well as the best Joker in the well-received Suicide Squad.
Roses are red. This tweet is odd.
So that's it, huh? We're some kind of Suicide Squad.
I'm joking, of course. Paul Allen is Bateman's nemesis, but Allen doesn't even know who he is. He believes Bateman is another coworker of theirs.
Hello, Halberstram. Nice tie.
This both annoys Patrick and pushes the envelope on how much of a nobody he is. Of course, there's another iconic scene which also showcases Bateman's fragile ego. The business card scene, of course. All the people in the room compare their cards, Bateman believing that his card is the best, until he sees Allen's and is overfilled with jealousy.
Subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my god. It even has a watermark.
This and the rest of Allen's endless, unintentional roasts on Bateman lead him to what is likely the most iconic scene of the entire movie. Patrick Bateman leads Paul Allen to his apartment, which is covered in plastic, and he turns on his favorite tunes as he puts on his raincoat. You all likely know what happens next, so I'll just play it.
Listen to the lyrics, but they should, because it's not just about the pleasures of conformity and the importance of trends, it's also a personal statement about the band itself. Hey, Paul! Ah!
He killed Allen due to his jealousy and desire to be known and fit in. If at this point you still think he fits this Sigma lone wolf archetype, I don't know what else to tell you. Interestingly enough, he may not have even killed Allen. Let me explain. So, later in the story, after killing a few ladies he has relations with, he is out late at night when an ATM tells him to feed it a stray cat. And he certainly tries. He shoots a random old lady and is on the run, having a brief firefight with the police until his gun somehow makes the car explode, which confuses even him. He flees to his office building, kills a few dudes in there, and then he goes to his office. He dials up his lawyer and wow! Christian Bale acts in this scene, with an incredible monologue about his confession of his crimes.
And, Paul Allen. I killed Paul Allen with an axe in the face. His body is dissolving in a bathtub in Hell's Kitchen. I guess I'm a pretty, I guess I'm a pretty sick guy.
It fades to black, and then it's morning again, raising the question of, did any of that even happen? So when Bateman goes to his office building, he sees his lawyer, known as Carnes, played by Stephen Bogart, who was Bev's dad in It 2017. Now Bateman tries to ask about the call made last night, but Carnes believes that it was all a joke, thinking that Bateman is another co-worker named Davis, doing a prank call as Bateman. Incensed, Bateman pleads and tells him that he is Bateman, and he killed Allen only for Carnes to dismiss him and tell him why he doesn't believe him.
One fatal flaw. Bateman is such a dork. Such a boring, spineless lightweight. Now if you said Bryce or McDermott, otherwise it was amusing.
After continuing to insist that he did kill him, Carnes drops this on him.
To be. Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
Because I had dinner with Paul Allen twice in London.
Bateman, shocked, sits down with his buddies and gives one final incredible monologue.
But even after admitting this, there is no catharsis. My punishment continues to elude me, and I gain no deeper knowledge of myself. No new knowledge can be extracted from my telling. This confession has meant nothing.
The ending is very ambiguous, leaving it up to the viewer to decide what just happened. The way I interpret it is a mix of common theories. I think that his father, who was said earlier to be very huge and has a lot of connections.
Your father practically owns the company. You can do anything you like, silly.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's possible that his father cleaned up the murders and the apartment that he used to store the bodies in that was shown to be completely cleared out in an earlier scene. I also believe that people simply find him so insignificant,
So unremarkable that he could kill all these people and do all of this, he's still unnoticed. Nothing he does matters. Being constantly taken as a joke and mistaken as others, Patrick Bateman is non-existent to most. However, as seen before, Bateman hallucinates and imagines things that he does. So it's possible that certain things aren't real, like the ATM, the exploding car, or maybe even Alan's murder. So many things could just not be real. It's completely up in the air. Bateman, however, is a prejudiced, sadistic, insane, childish, insignificant, psychopathic, superficial, loser outcast. Doesn't really fit the definition of either Sigma or alpha male places. When Mary Harron directed this film, it was intended to be a commentary on capitalism and prejudice, as well as on modern masculinity and the toxic culture that surrounds it. Many people that do take him as an idol or romanticize him miss the point of what the director was trying to do. It is a satire, and a lot of people forget that. You aren't really supposed to be able to relate with him, even with Christian Bale himself denouncing the idea of sympathizing with this character.
What do I like?
Yeah.
I like nothing about him. I mean, he's a completely unredeeming character, you know, and I didn't attempt to make him sympathetic at all.
And before I end the video, while I'm making this, actually, there's a new trend of putting clips of Patrick Bateman to, quote, girly pop music, and I think it's better if I just show you.
And the importance of trends, it's also a personal statement about the band itself. Hey, Paul!
I-T-T-I-R-L. You know I am that girl. Bitch, don't kiss it.
And on that lovely note, I'll leave you guys there. That's all I have for you. So, this was a long project, and I'm sorry it took so long to get out. I've been trying to balance work and school and, well, just everything. But hey, if you're watching it means it got out. It's good. That's good. But for our next video, I'm very excited. And for that video, make sure that you keep wary of those haunted swamp tours and urban legends. Otherwise, you're going to end up on an edge of an axe. Oh, no. It wasn't axe. What was it? Oh, right. It was hatchet. But that being said, have a good day, week, and weekend. Bye, y'all.